My wife called to say she would be dining with clients that night. Worried, I went to wait for her outside the restaurant. And then I saw something I never expected. My wife, who had always kept strict boundaries with everyone, was slumped in her young assistant's arms. Huh. Does infidelity come in shades, light and dark? I decided right then to get a divorce. The dinner dragged on late into the night. The second the restaurant door swung open, laughter drifted out from inside. President Bai, it's still early. Why don't we head to the club and keep talking? I watched. My CEO wife, always so strict about boundaries, was leaning against her young assistant's chest. Her hair spilled over Ju Cheng's shoulder. Her suit, always perfectly pressed and immaculate, hung open messily, the strap of her underwear peeking out. Bai Ruoxi had always been proud. She never let her subordinate see even a hint of weakness. Ju Cheng spotted me outside the door by accident and flinched. He straightened Bai Ruoxi up as if he'd touched a hot iron. But she didn't notice. She leaned right back in, pressing closer to his chest. What are you doing? Relax. No one dares mess with you when I'm here. Her voice was thick with alcohol, but there was an unmistakable protectiveness in it. Warm and seductive, softened by drink, the kind of tone that left nothing to the imagination. Watching that scene, that strange, tight feeling in my chest flared up again. When Bai Ruoxi first took over the company, it was beset with troubles on all sides. Veteran executives refused to respect her authority. They said a fresh out of college girl couldn't run a company. Outsiders wrote her off too. They said the Bai group had no worthy heir. But she fought her way through, sheer force of will. She pushed through sweeping radical reforms, cut half the group's projects entirely, poured all funding into a handful of key initiatives, removed every deadweight executive who'd rested on their laurels and leeched off the company. Even her own relatives by blood were treated exactly the same. Everyone at the company was afraid of her. Even employees who'd been there 10 years walked on eggshells working under her, terrified of making the smallest mistake. She'd always balanced work and family perfectly. In all her years in business, there had never been even a hint of scandal around her. People called her the most boundary-respecting, no-nonsense CEO in the industry. But now here she was, giving herself over completely to some young assistant, openly favoring him, right out in the open. None of this added up. President Bai's had too much to drink, Ju Cheng said carefully. He chose his words slowly, cautiously. When I said nothing, he added, I'm allergic to alcohol. President Bai was covering for me, that's why she drank so much. I said nothing. I walked straight over, and took Bai Ruoxi out of his arms. She reeked of liquor. Leaning against my shoulder, her skin felt hot. I turned and walked her toward the car. Ju Cheng followed cautiously behind, reaching out like he wanted to help. But when he met my cold stare, he quickly pulled his hand back. I settled Bai Ruoxi into the back seat. She lay there completely unguarded, more than a little exposed. I grabbed the blanket from the car and draped it over her. Sensing my displeasure, Ju Cheng said carefully, President Chun, I should head back then. I looked back at him. Drive. Take us home. If you can't do anything else, you can at least drive, right? The smile froze on Ju Cheng's face. He hesitated, then stammered, I don't know how to drive. President Bai drove here herself today. The group's driver is off sick. I paused. You can't drive, you can't drink. How did you even get hired as an assistant? Driving was the most basic requirement for the job. The role required running documents around, picking up clients. Basic stuff. Like today. Before I could say more, he climbed straight into the passenger seat, adjusted the seat like he'd done it 100 times. Even helped himself to a bottle of water from the car fridge, like he owned the place. Seeing that, something sharp twisted in my chest. Both Bai Ruoxi and I were particular about cleanliness. We never let anyone else sit in our passenger seat. Once it had been bad enough that my cousin got in her car and sat up front on his first ride with her. Afterward, she'd had the entire car detailed inside and out, top to bottom. But Ju Cheng was acting like it was second nature to him. Like he'd sat there dozens of times before. You expect me to be your driver? My voice went cold. Ju Cheng froze mid-sip, looking at me like I was overreacting, like I was making a big deal. L out of nothing. President Bai said she'd drive me home. Double quotes. Do I have to solve every little problem for you? I cut him off. My voice grew darker, sharper. Ju Cheng's mouth moved like he wanted to argue, but one look at my cold eyes, and he swallowed the words. He knew how I was. I always meant what I said. I might not be involved in the day-to-day running of the company these days, but I was Bai Ruoxi's husband, an investor with founder shares in the group. He was just a lowly assistant. He couldn't afford to cross me. Slowly, reluctantly, he unbuckled his seatbelt. When he opened the door to get out, he deliberately glanced back at Bai Ruoxi in the back, like he was waiting for her to say something. But Bai Ruoxi was too far gone, too drunk to know what was going on. In the end, he got out. He stood on the sidewalk watching us drive away. On the drive home, my mind was restless, on edge. In the back seat, Bai Ruoxi frowned, like she was having a bad dream. The more I replayed the details of tonight, the stronger that bad feeling grew. Some things you don't need proof for. The car glided smoothly down the road. Then Bai Ruoxi stirred in the back, and I heard her voice. Where's Ju Cheng? I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. She was sitting up straight now, her clothes neat and put back together. No trace of that drowsy, drunken look from before. She brushed her hair back casually. Dining with those old foxes? If I didn't pretend to be drunk, we'd be drinking until dawn. If I actually got blackout drunk, who knows what kind of mess I'd wake up to. Her tone was casual, unapologetic. Like leaning on Ju Cheng had just been part of the act. I know you don't like Ju Cheng, so I didn't stop you earlier. Surely you're not actually jealous over something this small. She leaned forward, about to kiss me on the cheek, but I flinched away on instinct. Bai Ruoxi's face froze. Then she raised an eyebrow, amused. What? You didn't actually think something was going on between me and my assistant, did you? Once you've seen a real tiger, who wastes time looking at a little puppy? My voice was calm, stating the facts as I'd seen them. He's just an intern assistant. But look at how he acted tonight. He can't do the most basic parts of the job. His etiquette is a mess. How did someone like that even get hired? Frustrated, I pulled out a cigarette and lit it. Bai Ruoxi's voice softened a little, placating. He just graduated. No experience. He's still learning. Don't be so hard on him. We all started where he is, remember? Young people deserve time to grow. I took a long drag. Since when do young people grow? By shadowing the CEO directly? Is the Bai Group really that short on talent? Bai Ruoxi had no answer for that. She quickly changed the subject. All right, it's not worth fighting over some outsider, is it? And you don't have to be jealous. You probably don't know his situation. When she talked about Ju Cheng, her voice softened again. Both his parents are sick. While everyone else was traveling or playing games over summer break, he was working non-stop to pay his tuition and their medical bills. He never even had a chance to learn to drive before college. It makes sense he can't. I kept him on because he's filial, reliable. Someone like that will be loyal to the company if you train him right. I said nothing more. You can't reason with someone who's pretending not to see the truth. Ours had been an arranged business marriage. Compared to most arranged marriages for business, we'd been lucky. Our families had worked together for years. We'd known each other since we were kids. We knew each other's temperaments, personalities, histories, at least to some degree. Actually, the Bai family had been punching above their weight marrying into ours. They were new money. My family had deep connections in government, access to all kinds of projects. Back then my father had favored the Gao family. But I'd thought the Gaos were too ambitious, too hard to control after a marriage. The Bai family, on the other hand, we could keep them in check easily. And Bai Ruoxi had been sharp, discreet, sensible. Just what I'd expected. After we married, she'd done everything right. I'd trusted her completely. With my support, she'd solidified her position at the top. Our two groups entered a golden age of cooperation, launching project after project together. Of course, as a businessman, I always planned for the worst. So even though we worked together on projects, the final say always rested with the Chun group. Bai Ruoxi had pushed back at first, but after years of smooth sailing, no disputes, no surprises, eventually everyone forgot about that arrangement. But Ju Chung showing up today had set off every alarm bell I had. After all these years in business, my gut instinct was second nature. As a successful businessman, I wouldn't let something this unstable poison our marriage. So as soon as we got home, I called a private investigator. By noon the next day, that uneasy feeling had been proven right. The investigator sent me a photo, a property deed, Villa 007, Uptown Residencies. Owner, Gu Chung. I knew that development. It had opened just last year, close to my wife's office. A high-end community, incredibly expensive. Even a basic villa there cost well over 10 million. My heart sank slowly. I'd suggested buying a place there last year. Said it would let buy. Ruoxi sleep an extra half hour on workdays. But she'd turned me down without a second thought. The company's not doing well enough right now. There's no need to spend that kind of money. Better to put it toward 2 more projects. Save up for our kids someday. I pulled out another cigarette and smoked it hard. What kind of intern was worth spending over 10 million to win over? When I finished the cigarette, I called my assistant. That same afternoon, 3 contracts about to be signed were put on hold. On more than a dozen ongoing construction projects, all by Ruoxi's personnel were removed. At the same time, in my capacity as a shareholder and investor of the Buy Group, I demanded a raise in benefits for all long-serving employees. If a brand new intern assistant could be rewarded with a 10 million yuan villa, then the veteran employees who had built the company with her deserved far more. Bai Ruoxi thought she could keep everything under wraps. She assumed I would never make a scene or nitpick over something so trivial. What she forgot was that nothing could be hidden from me if I wanted to find out. If she dared cross the line, she should have expected me to strike back. This was not me being petty. A woman as shrewd as her weighed every cost and benefit before acting. This had been a calculated decision, and for that, it did not deserve my forgiveness. I got home that evening. I had barely taken off my coat when the villa door opened again. Bai Ruoxi walked in first, her face dark with displeasure. Ju Chung trailed close behind her, clutching a red property deed in his hand. What did you bring him here for? I asked coldly, slipping on my house slippers. Bai Ruoxi forced a faint smile and stepped over to take my arm. Don't be upset. I brought him here to clear things up. He waited forever for a taxi last night and didn't get home until almost dawn. I felt bad for him, so I found him a place near the office. Don't read too much into it. Ju Chung spoke up, his eyes red-rimmed. Mr. Chun, I'm sorry. I know I was in the wrong. I live so far away, and President Bai took pity on me. It was the first time anyone ever gave me something so valuable. I got carried away and forgot to say no. I didn't mean anything by it. Please don't misunderstand. He darted a quick glance at Bai Ruoxi as he spoke. I gave a cold laugh. If I had a problem with something, I would say it plainly. You're just an assistant, and you can't even handle the most basic duties. How did you get this job? Don't give me that training new talent line. There are plenty of entry-level positions. You could have put him under any department manager. Why is he at Bai Ruoxi's side? With his skills, he can't help her with anything. I thought my questions were perfectly reasonable. I wasn't being aggressive. In any corporation, efficiency came first. Ju Chung swallowed hard. Not a single word came out. What is wrong with you? Ju Chung just graduated, he's still naive. He doesn't know all these office games. There's no need to be so cruel. Bai Ruoxi stepped sharply between us, her face flushed. Cruel? I scoffed. I pushed past her and snatched the red deed right out of Ju Chung's hand. Uncle Lu, the butler who had been waiting just outside the door, stepped in. This house is yours. Ju Chung's face burned bright red. His fists clenched at his sides. His lips trembled like he wanted to speak, but he didn't dare. He fixed a pleading look on Bai Ruoxi again. Bai Ruoxi, we're both smart people. I know exactly what game you're playing. Don't make me burn this bridge completely. Uncle Liu took the deed, turned to Ju Chang, and said, Come with me. Bai Ruoxi looked at me, mouth open like she wanted to argue. In the end, she just sighed. Ignoring Ju Chang's pleading gaze, she told him to go with Uncle Liu. Ju Chung's steps wavered as he left. Right before he walked out the door, he glanced back once. His eyes were brimming with resentment and hurt. At dinner, Byruoxi spoke in a quiet, sullen tone. Ju Chung's just a new graduate. He's still so naive. You were way too hard on him. What are you, his mother? His father? Once he steps into that company, he's one thing and one thing only, an employee. If he can't do the job, replace him with someone who can. Do I really have to teach you that? I scoffed again. I knew she wouldn't listen. He wasn't my employee anyway. If she wanted to pick up other people's cast-offs, that was her business. I took a bite of food and went on. But you know where my line is. I don't care if you feel sorry for him or if there's something else going on. Cut it off now before it goes too far to fix. Byruoxi sipped her soup and made a small sound of acknowledgement, her voice tired. Chan Mo, you're overthinking this. It really is innocent. It's not what you're making it out to be. Making exceptions is how favoritism starts. Lowering your standards is how you fall apart. I don't have anything else to say. Think about it yourself. Next time I won't hold back. We slept in separate rooms that night. That bad feeling in my gut only grew stronger. It was like watching a project slowly rot from the inside out. You could see exactly where it would end. Byruoxi knew perfectly well that our marriage tied not just our two families together, but the fates of both our corporations. Back then, my family had poured real capital into helping her secure her position. We'd wanted both groups to grow side by side, to weather whatever uncertainties lay ahead together. She could not know that, if a rift formed between us, all the people waiting in the wings would pounce. Sure enough, the next morning, Ju Cheng was transferred to another position. I've cut off all contact with Ju Cheng outside of work. Let it go already. Bye. Ruoxi's voice was calm, like she was discussing something trivial. But I caught the exhaustion in her eyes. I said nothing. She wasn't doing this because she'd upset me. She was doing the math. She couldn't throw away everything she'd built over some intern. Things were quiet at home for a while after that. Byruoxi didn't mention Ju Cheng again. Everything went back to normal. At the ribbon cutting for one of our joint projects, Byruoxi attended on my arm. All the outside rumors and gossip vanished overnight. The Baichun partnership remained as strong as ever, and our marriage seemed unshakable. There were too many paparazzi watching us after all. Every little move got twisted into something bigger. The event ended in the early evening. I walked Byruoxi to the parking garage. The second we stepped inside, I spotted a familiar figure. Ju Cheng was mopping the floor. He was covered in grime, sweat dripping down his face. When he saw us, he froze. President Bai. President Chun. Ju Cheng quickly bowed his head, his voice shaking a little. But his eyes kept drifting back to Byruoxi. He looked like he'd suffered the worst injustice in the world. Some coworkers spilled something earlier. They told me to clean it up. Byruoxi's face changed instantly. The smile dropped away, replaced by cold, dark anger. She marched over and snatched the mop right out of his hands. Stop that. Someone else will handle it. I stood there watching her back. The anger I'd pushed down flared right back up again. Back in the car, the second the door closed, Byruoxi rounded on me. Why do you have to keep targeting him? I already moved him off my team. What more do you want? Why are you so set on making his life miserable? I laughed, sharp and bitter. Last I checked, your employees are the ones assigning him work. He's an intern who can't do anything right. What's wrong with him mopping a floor? Interns do grunt work. He's here to work, not to be waited on like a little prince. Byruoxi wouldn't let it go. That little stunt you pulled last time? I had to talk for hours to smooth things over. Can you just stop picking on a kid? Her voice rose, sharp and loud. First of all, he's almost 25. He's not a kid. My voice was ice cold. I held up a second finger. Second, I don't care how your company assigns work. Finally, I looked her dead in the eye and spoke slowly, deliberately. Ju Cheng isn't worth as much as a dog to me. And if either of you crosses the line, I don't waste my time getting even with a dog. Bye. Ruoxi had nothing to say to that. She opened her mouth to argue, but not a single word came out. The car fell completely silent. I lit a cigarette. I knew exactly where this was going. The rift between us was only going to widen. There was nothing left to say. If she'd set her mind on something else, there was no reason for me to keep sacrificing myself for this alliance. The second we pulled up to the house, Bairuoxi stormed out, leaving her bag behind. I didn't go inside. I turned the car around and drove straight back to the office. Sure enough, the next day after the meeting, my assistant told me Ruoxi had taken Ju Chung on a business trip. I gave a cold laugh. This wasn't work. This was her way of throwing it in my face. What surprised me even more was what she did next. On several of our joint projects, she pulled the same trick again, removed every last one of my Chun group personnel. The informants I'd placed in her company were fired outright, and the employees who'd told Ju Chung to clean the garage, she had them all transferred to the logistics department. I took it for what it was, a declaration of war. I had my assistant reach out to everyone Ruoxi had fired, and brought them all over to the Chun group, and I activated the contingency plans I'd put in place. On dozens of joint projects, we formally removed all Bai group personnel. The severance pay we owed them covered her upfront costs, but her profits took a massive hit. Those projects had been funded by both our groups. Most of them were nearly finished, just about to turn a profit, and I'd kicked her right out. When word got out, the Bai group erupted. A lot of the veteran employees were quietly furious. Bairuoxi had fired so many longtime staff members all for the sake of one intern. If it could happen to them, it could happen to anyone. We didn't speak for a week. The projects had hurt the Bai group's bottom line, but their core business was completely untouched. She thought she had the upper hand, that she could wait me out. I never reached out to Bairuoxi, but news of her and Ju Cheng kept finding its way to me. Ju Cheng acted like he wanted the whole world to know he was by her side. He posted dozens of photos every single day. Sometimes they were candid shots of Bairuoxi in profile. Sometimes the two of them dining together. Sometimes sitting side by side in the car. When my assistant laid these photos in front of me, I only found them laughable. A stray dog dreaming of reaching the heavens? Half a month later, the butler pushed the door open, his tone cautious. Sir, the madam is back. I didn't look up, kept going through the documents. Bairuoxi didn't wait for me to come downstairs to greet her. She came up to the study herself. Mom and Dad want us to come over for dinner this weekend. She hesitated for a long time before speaking. Her voice was much softer. I figured the elders were getting anxious, seeing that this little matter still hadn't been settled after all this time. I hummed in response and kept working. Bairuoxi thought I'd agreed and let out a relieved breath. She went on. Don't say anything out of line when we're there. Our private matters are our own to sort out. I lit a cigarette slowly and leaned back in my chair. I never said I was going with you. The smile froze on Bairuoxi's face at once, a hint of displeasure in her voice. What is that supposed to mean? I didn't bother beating around the bush. I opened a drawer and pulled out a document. Read through it. If there's no issue, sign it. She looked confused. When she made out the words divorce agreement on the cover, all the color drained from her face. She looked up sharply, her voice trembling slightly. Chan Mo, what is this? I flicked ash off my cigarette, my face impassive. I made myself perfectly clear before. Read it and sign if you're fine with the terms. Don't drag this out. Ours was an arranged marriage. Let's part on good terms. Bye. Ruoxi stared at me in disbelief, tears welling in her eyes. You want a divorce over something as trivial as Ju Chung? I told you, there's nothing between us. Why won't you believe me? It's not about belief. You're a smart woman. I know you can tell Ju Chang has ulterior motives where you're concerned. Yet you kept him by your side, indulged him again and again. You knew our marriage ties our two families' interests together, and you still let him drive a wedge between us. I paused. He means something different to you. I don't care to dissect whether it's emotional infidelity or physical. To me, betrayal is betrayal. There's no such thing as a little bit of cheating or a lot. I have the entire Chun group to look after. I don't have time for silly love triangle games. A clean break is best for both of us. The divorce agreement slipped from Bairuoxi's hand and fell to the floor. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. But I raised a hand, cutting her off. We're both adults. Every choice has consequences, read it carefully. Sign it if you have no objections. Don't get any other ideas. We both move in the same circles. Leave things on good terms, and we won't have trouble down the line. With that, I stood up and left the study. Behind me I heard Bairuoxi's muffled sobs. But I didn't look back. Trust was the foundation of this marriage. Every time she'd chosen to defend Ju Chung and ignore me, that foundation had eroded away. I was just about to go into the bedroom when Bairuoxi rushed out and grabbed my arm. Her eyes were red and swollen, her voice hoarse. Chan Mo, you have to believe me. There really is nothing between us. I just felt sorry for him. I looked out for him a little because I didn't want him to get pushed around. I nodded and made a non-committal sound. Then I pulled my arm away, my face blank. I heard you. Bairuoxi froze. She hadn't expected me to be so calm. But clinging to her last shred of hope, she pressed on. I promise I'll keep my distance from him from now on. Can we not get divorced? I shook my head. If you can't hold your boundaries for another man, it's only a matter of time before you can't hold anything else. I don't have the time or energy to keep tabs on your little drama every second of the day. Maybe you really don't have feelings for him. Maybe you just wanted to use him as leverage against me, or something else. I don't care enough to find out. You can keep lowering your standards, but I won't lower mine. Bye. Ruoxi kept trying to explain, desperate. I wasn't trying to manipulate you. I just wanted you to see I can stand on my own 2 feet. That I'm not just some accessory of yours. I sighed. For all your talking, you still won't. Be honest with yourself. You don't care about Ju Chang at all. I know that. You kept him close just to test my limits. To see if I'd break my own rules for you. How much I'd put up with, so you could have the upper hand in our business deals later. A flash of panic crossed by Ruoxi's eyes. She tried to explain, but she had nothing left to say. You know I hate hassle. And right now this relationship feels like nothing but hassle. So much so that I don't want to be in it anymore. Frankly, I don't care what's going on between you and Ji Chung. It doesn't even matter. Next time you want to play games with someone, make sure you know what cards you're holding first. Bairuoxi dropped to her knees and clung to my legs, her voice more broken than before. Chan Mo, I was wrong. Forgive me. Please don't divorce me. I'll fire him today. I'll never speak to him again. Can't we just go back to how things were? For some reason, seeing her cry like this, I felt nothing at all. I turned to leave, dropping only one cold line over my shoulder. Talk to your family about the divorce as soon as possible. I didn't want to stay in the house a minute longer. I walked straight out the door. Bairuoxi scrambled to her feet and tried to grab me. I stepped aside, out of her reach. Chun Mo, give me one more chance. Come to my parents' house the day after tomorrow. Have a family dinner with me. My only reply was that same cold tone. Talk to my lawyer if you have anything to say. I got in the car and sent another message to my assistant, telling him to get everything ready. Once the divorce was final, we would liquidate all joint projects with the Bai Group. Bairuoxi and I had been married for 5 years. In those 5 years we'd launched far too many joint projects. Cutting all ties wouldn't happen overnight. Technically, we didn't have to end every single collaboration after the divorce. But I always planned for the worst. Especially when it came to women, creatures so prone to losing control of their emotions. For the next while I threw myself entirely into work. Bye. Ruoxi kept calling my assistant, one call after another, because I'd already blocked her number. 3 days later. I'd just finished a meeting. My assistant came over and spoke quietly. President Bai came by to see you earlier. She waited all morning, then left when you didn't come down. I replied flatly. Next time she comes, tell her I'm not here. To me, Bairuoxi was just a stranger now. With no emotional ties left, I judged everyone purely by what they could bring to the table. Was partnering with the Bai family worth the risk, or would it turn a profit? Would the fallout from the divorce hurt the Chun Group? Even Bairuoxi's emotional stability had become a factor in whether we'd ever work together again. Maybe this arranged marriage had been a mistake from the start. If we'd only ever talked business, never feelings, none of this mess would have happened. That day I worked late into the night. I'd just opened my car door when a figure lunged out from the shadows. I was a little surprised. It was Ju Chung of all people. I hadn't seen him in ages. He tilted his head and stared at me, his eyes full of provocation and contempt. I found him amusing. I held up 3 fingers. You've got 3 minutes. Put on a show, Zhu Cheng scoffed. Chan Mo, you're just as insufferable as ever. You think just because you've got money you're something special? And look at you, I still beat you. He seemed to be waiting for me to fly into a rage. But I just checked my watch calmly. 90 seconds left. Not getting the reaction he wanted, he raised his voice. What makes you people so great? You just won the birth lottery, that's all. I'll tell you something, I did this on purpose. If I had your status, I'd be way better than you. I couldn't help laughing. It was nice, after a long tiring day, to have a clown put on a show for me. 15 seconds. Seeing that I was still completely unruffled, Zhu Cheng shook with rage. What are you so smug about? I'm the reason you're getting divorced. Bye. Roxy's an idiot. All I had to do was snap my fingers and she came running. And if you married her? You can't be much better. I lowered my hand. Time's up. Not bad. You actually amused me. Honestly, instead of wasting time cornering me, you should talk Roxy into signing those papers faster. Then maybe you can leech off her and live the high life forever. With that, I didn't bother with him any longer. I got in the car and drove off. Zhu Cheng couldn't even get near Roxy anymore. Ever since I'd asked for a divorce, she'd fired him. She'd even put the word out across the industry that no one was to hire him. His life had barely started, and he'd already ruined it with his own hands. People who try to shortcut their way into wealthy families, if it works, they strike it rich overnight. If it fails, the price is more than they can bear. We didn't even have to lift a finger. Plenty of people would take him down just to curry favor with me. Days went by. Roxy still refused to sign the divorce papers. Every time I had my lawyer reach out to her, she'd either claim she was in a meeting, or just not answer the phone at all. I had no choice. I'd have to go to the Bai family home myself. When I saw Mr. and Mrs. Bai, they still had no idea we were getting divorced. They greeted me warmly. I didn't beat around the bush. I slapped the divorce agreement right down on the table. I gave them a brief, straightforward account of what had happened. Uncle, Auntie, you can't force feelings. Divorce is best for both of us. Rest assured, even after we split, the partnership between our families won't end. The Bai family was new money, and they had plenty of it. As long as Roxy stopped making stupid decisions, I didn't mind using her capital to make more money for myself. Of course, if she kept acting out, I wouldn't mind putting the Bai group in its place either. Mr. and Mrs. Bai's faces fell the second I finished speaking. Mr. Bai tried to reason with me, but I cut him off before he could start. Uncle, Auntie, I know you want to talk me out of this, but there's no turning back. Please talk some sense into Roxy. Dragging this out does neither of us any good. With that, I turned to leave. Roxy's voice came from upstairs. Her eyes were red and swollen. She opened her mouth as if about to say something. When I saw her, I spoke directly. So you're here. Perfect. Are you free tomorrow? Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and settle this. Bye. Roxy shook her head violently. Chan Mo, please don't do this. Let's not get divorced. Bye. Roxy, you're a smart woman. Stop being foolish. After saying that, I turned and walked away. The sound of Roxy's crying followed behind me. Another week passed. Roxy finally gave in. After the divorce cooling off period, we went straight to get our divorce certificates. She stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau and cried for a long time. I paid her no mind. I turned around and got in the car. Our cooperation didn't end after the divorce. If anything, it grew closer than before. Just like I'd said, Roxy was smart. She would never be stupid enough to let her personal feelings derail the group's development. But since our families were no longer bound by marriage, both sides were more cautious with contracts. For the Bai family to work with us now, they had to put up 30% more capital than before. Even so, they refused to let go of such a valuable partnership. I saw Roxy again 3 years later at a friend's dinner party. Roxy stood in the corner in plain clothes, a far cry from her old confident commanding self. She hesitated when she saw me but walked over in the end. Chun Mo, long time no see. I nodded at her. After what happened 3 years ago, the shareholders of the buy group had been extremely dissatisfied with her. They'd even held a shareholder meeting to remove her from her position. In the end, her father had turned the tide at a huge cost to keep her in the role. But the incident had thrown the buy group into internal turmoil. Many veteran employees and talented people had left one after another. As a result, for these 3 years, Bai Ruoxi had walked on eggshells every single day, terrified of making even the smallest mistake. Chun Mo, are you free tomorrow? Bai Ruoxi looked at me with a hopeful expression. I shook my head. Tomorrow I'm taking my wife for her prenatal checkup. You're married? She looked completely stunned. Why didn't I hear about this? She's not in the industry, and it's my second marriage. No need to make a big fuss about it. When she realized I wasn't joking, Bai Ruoxi's straight, proud shoulders seemed to slump all at once. She walked away in a daze, lost in thought. On the street right next to the banquet hall there was a beggar. He lay on the ground missing several limbs. Please, have mercy. Spare some change. The voice pulled Bai Ruoxi out of her thoughts. She reached for her wallet on instinct. But the second her eyes met the beggar's, she froze. Ju Chung recognized her too. A flicker of resentment crossed his eyes, quickly replaced by desperate pleading. President Bai, please help me, Before he could finish, 3 burly men walked out of the nearby alley. Without a word, they set on Ju Chung, kicking and punching him. Bai Ruoxi glanced once, then turned and walked away. Behind her, only Ju Chang's agonized screams remained. In their business marriage, Bai Ruoxi, as the company's CEO, showed undue favor to Ju Chung, an incompetent young assistant out of personal sympathy. She promoted him regardless of his ability, repeatedly crossed boundaries, ignored her husband, Di Chun Mo's repeated advice, and even used her favoritism as a bargaining chip, eroding the trust in their marriage step by step. Seeing the irreparable rift, Chun Mo cut his losses rationally, filed for divorce resolutely, and protected his own and his family's interests in time. In the end, Bai Ruoxi undermined her own career status with her wrong decisions, and lived in regret. Ju Chung, who tried to climb the ladder by clinging to others, ended up ruined and miserable. The story warns us that principles and boundaries should never be tested willfully, whether in marriage or in the workplace. Favoritism over ability and putting personal feelings before public interests will eventually backfire. Trying to take shortcuts to success by attaching oneself to others is nothing but drinking poison to quench thirst. Trust is fragile and hard to restore. Knowing when to walk away and sticking to principles are the most responsible choices for one's life and career.